there. Welcome to One Bite is Everything. Last week, we dove deep into the good, the bad, and the ugly of big agribusiness and even got some thought-provoking ideas for the future from our guest. This week, I want to take you to 5 small farms for a quick visit to talk about some of the issues that small farms face. As we lose more and more small farms across the country every year, I want you to understand why it's happening and what you can do about it. And I think it's important to think about the why, our own motivation for looking for some kind of balance within the agricultural industry to keep it healthy, stable, and able to innovate and improve. I am your host, Dana DePrima, and One Bite is Everything comes out weekly, bringing you thought leaders from across the country, big and small, so that you are in the know on the issues your food faces and the impact that it has on pretty much everything in your life, from your taste buds to your wallet. Let's get our bearings on what it means to be a small farm. Small farms are considered small if they bring in $350,000 or less a year. They make up 89% of all U.S. farms, operate on about 30% of the farmland, and produce 18% of our agricultural products. Mid-size farms that bring in between $350,000 and $1 million use 18% of agricultural land and generate 18% of the total value of our production. Now, large-scale farms that earn above $1 million operate 20% of agricultural land and are responsible for 46% of the total value of production and represent less than 5% of farms. Small farms, despite their size and percentage of output, are vital for local food systems, environmental sustainability, and community livelihoods. In today's agricultural landscape, the balance between large industrial farms and small independent farms is crucial for a sustainable and resilient food system. While industrial farms are essential for mass production, small farms are vital in preserving biodiversity, supporting local economies, and offering consumers high-quality, diverse food options. Small farms often adopt sustainable practices that protect our environment and maintain ethical standards in animal welfare and labor. By fostering this balance, we ensure not only food security and economic viability, but also the preservation of our agricultural heritage and the health of our communities. Whatever the size, farming is a labor of love, especially when you think about that small family farm across the country. In order to exist in an industry that prizes bigger, faster, cheaper, love and passion and a mission to provide something better to their communities absolutely must be a factor. What many people don't see is the financial strain that underpins nearly every decision a small farmer makes. Today, we're peeling back the curtain to reveal the harsh economic realities faced by those who grow our food, often at a significant personal cost. We'll hear from 5 small farmers sharing their struggles and triumphs as they navigate debt, tight margins, and the uphill battle to stay competitive in a market dominated by large corporations. Debt is a nearly universal experience for small farmers in America. Estimates suggest that between 40 and 60% of small farms carry debt, with loans often reaching up to $150,000. For these farmers, debt isn't just a number. It's the weight that can make or break their ability to keep farming. Real estate loans for land and buildings, equipment purchases, and even operating expenses all contribute to this burden. But unlike larger farms, small farms often have a much higher debt-to-asset ratio, making them more vulnerable to market fluctuations and economic downturns. Here's a word from farmer Elizabeth Hernandez of Trillium Family Farms in West Virginia.
One of the biggest hardships that we have had on our farm is access to equipment. There are projects that need done, and large equipment and tools would make these projects easier, but the money just isn't there for us small farmers. We have to rent or buy some of these large equipment. Many things we would only use 1 or 2 times before we were done with them. So one of the biggest struggles that we have found was just lack of funds to buy these big tools and equipment that we need in order to make the jobs go by a little quicker and easier.
Farming isn't just about growing crops or raising animals. It's about making ends meet. Yet for many small farmers, that is a nearly impossible task. With thin profit margins, particularly on farms with a gross cash farm income, or GCFI, that is under $350,000, farming alone often doesn't sustain a household. In fact, for many, off-farm income accounts for up to 90% of their total household earnings. This means that despite the hard work and long hours, many farmers are just barely scraping by, often reporting low or even negative net farm income. Lisa Fredsel of Yogi Hollow Farm in North Dakota adds a dose of reality from her experience here.
Money is the hard part. You know, we work all the hours, we lose animals, and that stuff stinks, but we can deal with it. The hard part is money. We need more land, we need to expand, we need to get new animals, do repairs, and it all comes back to money. And I think the biggest thing is letting people know that our goods are worth the money that we're selling them for.
To survive in today's market, small farmers must diversify. Whether it's venturing into agro-tourism, growing specialty crops, or creating value-added products, diversification isn't just a strategy, it's a necessity. But even then, the competition from large agricultural corporations is fierce. These corporations benefit from economies of scale, have more access to advanced technology, and often hold more significant influence over agricultural policy. Small farmers, on the other hand, face high costs, limited market access, and the daunting challenge of meeting sustainability demands with far fewer resources. With all of this sitting on their shoulders, common shopper rhetoric circles around the cost of high-quality goods from small farmers versus the more industrially produced products available in the supermarket. Amanda Wiesel of Good Shepherd Farm in Indiana has had this exact experience.
I think something that people need to understand about farming is the price that we charge for our product is because of the quality of the product. Almost all small farms put a lot of their own money, their own time, their own emotion into what they do because it's a product that they believe in. We don't charge these prices to try and get rich fast. You know, you wouldn't go to a car mechanic and say, hey, can you fix my car for $3 an hour? But for some reason, it's widely accepted for farmers to make way less than minimum wage because we're up against large corporations and big grocery store chains. So the prices that we charge are because we believe in our product, and it is a very quality product, not just mass amounts of it.
Supporting small farms is about more than just buying local. It's about understanding the immense value that these farmers bring to our communities and our economy. The quality of their products, the care they put into their work, and the personal sacrifices they make all come at a cost. When we choose to support small farms, we're not just buying food, we're investing in the future of our food system. If we fail to support these smaller farmers by voting with our dollars at their farm stands, farmers markets, or through a farm share as part of a community-supported agricultural program, these small farms may disappear. They are always very close to the margins, and as a case in point, between 2020 and 2022, we lost over 600,000 small farms. For the most part, that farmland either went into development or became part of a larger farming operation. Here's an example of the way a small farm operates that makes things complicated. You can see if you don't get in there and participate as a consumer that the balance can really be thrown off. Josh and Kylie Morrison of Earnest Roots Farm in Alabama share a little bit about the cycle.
One thing I can think of is how capital intensive farming is, the amount of debt you rack up in raising your animals. For example, the pigs.
So we buy them from another farmer, and then we've got the feed that we buy to raise them up for the next 6 to 8 months. Then from there, they'll go to the processor. We have that feed. Anything that's left over after we actually sell the product will go to pay off past debts, plus go to pay for next year's pigs.
It's a revolving door. A lot of debt, a lot of stress. You got to have a passion for it. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Land is the foundation of farming, but for many small and beginning farmers, it's also the most significant barrier. The high cost of farmland, coupled with its limited availability, makes it incredibly challenging for farmers to expand or even to get started. Often, the land is already owned by large farms or snapped up by them before smaller farmers even have a chance. This creates an uneven playing field where small farms struggle not only to compete, but also to secure the very resource they need to grow. Let's go to Wisconsin at Will of the Winds Farm with Carly and Tyler Stevenson. Imagine wanting to farm and not being able to find land, or finding land and losing out on it again and again.
Finding land is a big issue. It's expensive, it's hard to find, and if you do find it, most of the time a large farm's already snagged it up. And if you're a college person, you just got out of college, you're not going to be able to afford it. You don't got a penny to your name usually.
And they have some ideas about how we could rethink how our government and our nation as a whole, that includes all of us, how we could better structure our support for small farmers and the valuable service they offer us, our communities, our land, and our economy.
So I would definitely say that finding land is a big issue.
Mm-hmm. Something I would change would be the government and larger organizations out there supporting farms. So many of the world out there with subsidies, crop insurances, things like that are meant for big monoculture farms, not so much the small beginning farms, especially those making less than $50,000 a year. There's less out there for helping us with conservation or helping us with finding feed, animals, feeder stock, things like that. It can be really hard. And so organizations like the For Farmers movement is so wonderful because it's out here helping this small family and us trying to succeed on our farm.
All of the farms that you have heard from here today were nominated by people like you for a small grant from the For Farmers movement to help their farms get to the next level. Farming is a business, but it's also a way of life that is increasingly under threat. The financial burdens small farmers face are immense, but their passion for what they do keeps them going. As we wrap up today's episode, let's remember that behind every product we buy from a small farm is a story of hard work, sacrifice, and determination. By supporting these farmers, we're helping to ensure that their stories continue. One Bite is Everything aims to unpack where our food comes from and the who and the how that's behind it. Agriculture is a challenging industry to understand and to change, but it's so important to understand and feel like you have access to the behind the scenes as well as what you can do to improve it. Remember, you are the customer. This food is for you. Food from small farms and from the big industrial farms as well. Make decisions about your food from a well-informed space. Apply your values and use your voice. You have that power. I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit from some of our smaller farmers from across the country, North Dakota, West Virginia, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Louisiana. They are some stellar examples of small, thoughtful farmers who are working hard to support their families and yours with good food, honestly produced in their own communities. Here on One Bite is Everything, we meet small farmers like these, a ton of experts in different fields, thought leaders, chefs, historians, and change makers who reveal the secrets of our food system, connecting the dots to show how it influences our health, communities, economy, and the planet. Today's episode was a little snack, and some other ones are full meals. If you're into it, please give the podcast a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and a nice little recommendation for others to tune in. Thanks for being here, and thanks to Sonia Dillon for her editing and research, and to Russ Chapa for his original music and sound design. I'm your host, Dana DePrima, and this is One Bite is Everything. See you next week.